The alarm screamed through every corridor of Station Kepler 7. Red lights flashed against the metal walls, turning everything into a nightmare of shadows and crimson. It was 3 in the morning, station time, and Hyon was mopping the floor in Section D when the emergency broadcast cut through his music. Code Black. Repeat, Code Black. All personnel evacuate to safe zones immediately. A Class 5 organism has escaped containment. This is not a drill. Hyon stopped mopping and pulled out one of his earbuds. Class to 5 meant lethal. Class 5 meant something that could kill you without even trying hard. He'd been working as a janitor on this station for 2 years now, and they'd never had a Code Black before. Code Yellow for small fires, Code Blue for medical emergencies, even Code Orange for hull breaches. But never Code Black. His communicator buzzed against his hip. He pulled it out and saw the evacuation map lighting up his screen. The safe zones were marked in green. He was supposed to go to Safe Zone 3, which was back through Section C and up 2 levels. Easy enough. Hyon dumped his mop water into the disposal unit and started pushing his cleaning cart toward the exit. The wheels squeaked against the floor, echoing in the empty hallway. Everyone else had already run when the alarm started. The station felt dead, like a tomb. That's when his communicator buzzed again. This time, it was a direct message from Commander Thex, the head of security. Thex was a Vrillin, which meant he had 4 arms, scales like a lizard, and absolutely no sense of humor. The message was short. Hyon, where are you? He tapped back. Section D, heading to Safe Zone 3. 3 dots appeared immediately. Thex was typing. Negative. Section C corridor has collapsed. The creature went through it. Find another route. Stay quiet. Stay still. Do not engage. Hyon felt his stomach drop. He pulled up the station map on his communicator. Section C was the only direct route to Safe Zone 3. The alternative routes would take him through the lower maintenance tunnels, which would add at least 20 minutes to his journey. Or he could try to reach Safe Zone 5, but that meant going up through the cargo bays, and those were completely exposed. He decided on the maintenance tunnels. Better slow and safe than fast and dead. The entrance to the lower tunnels was a small hatch at the end of the hallway. Hyon had been through them 100 times while cleaning. They weren't pretty, just bare metal walls, exposed pipes, and dim lighting, but they were usually empty. He punched in his access code and the hatch hissed open. The tunnels were darker than he remembered. Half the lights were out, probably because of the emergency power redistribution. Hyon grabbed a flashlight from his cart and started walking. His footsteps sounded too loud. Every shadow looked wrong. His communicator buzzed again. Another message from Thex. Hyon, respond. Status update. In the lower tunnels, Hyon typed back. Heading toward Junction 7. Good. Stay there. Security teams are sweeping the upper levels. The creature is currently on Level 5, Section G. You should be clear. Should be? That wasn't exactly reassuring. Hyon kept walking. The tunnel stretched ahead of him, pipes running along the ceiling like metal veins. He could hear water dripping somewhere, and the constant hum of the station's life support systems. It was almost peaceful, if you ignored the screaming alarm that was still echoing through the walls. He was halfway to Junction 7 when he heard something else. A scraping sound, metal on metal, coming from somewhere above him. He stopped walking and looked up at the ventilation shaft that ran along the ceiling. The scraping came again. Closer this time. Something was in the vents. Hyon single quotes S hand went to his communicator. But before he could type anything, he heard Commander Thex's voice coming through the speaker. All units, be advised. The creature has entered the ventilation system. It's heading toward the lower levels. Perfect. Just perfect. Stay calm, Thex continued. The creature hunts by detecting electromagnetic signatures produced by fear. If you remain calm, you may be invisible to it. Do not move. Do not make noise. Hyon looked at his cleaning cart. He looked at the tunnel ahead. He looked at the vent above his head. The scraping was getting louder. He'd worked at an animal shelter back on Earth before he took this job. They'd taught him that scared animals were dangerous animals. They'd taught him that you never corner a frightened creature and you never make yourself look like a threat. They taught him that most animals just wanted to feel safe. Of course, they'd been talking about dogs and cats. Not Class 5 lethal organisms. The scraping stopped. The tunnel went silent except for the dripping water and the distant alarm. Hyan held his breath, then the vent covered 10 feet. Ahead of him exploded outward with a screech of tearing metal. The creature that dropped to the floor was massive. 8 feet tall, covered in dark armor-like scales, with claws as long as Hyan's forearm. Its head was angular and sharp, with too many eyes that glowed a sick yellow in the darkness. Blood covered its front, not its own blood, based on the blue color. Probably from a security drone. This was the Ravkor. Hyan had seen pictures in the station briefings. Native to a high-gravity death world on the far side of the galaxy. Apex predator. Built to kill, the Ravkor's head swung toward him. All those yellow eyes focused on his face. Hyan's heart was pounding so hard he could hear it in his ears. Every instinct told him to run, to scream, to do something. But he remembered Dex's words. The creature hunts by detecting fear. So Hyan did something he'd done 1,000 times at the animal shelter when faced with a scared, aggressive dog. He slowly crouched down, making himself smaller, less threatening. He kept his eyes down, avoiding direct eye contact. And he spoke in the softest, calmest voice he could manage. "Hey there, buddy. You're scared, aren't you? Big place, lots of noise." "I get it." The Ravkar tilted its head. Its claws scraped against the metal floor, somewhere in the command center. Every security officer watching through Hyan's body camera stopped breathing, and Hyan, the janitor from Earth who'd once rehabilitated a traumatized Volf hybrid, reached slowly into his cart for his lunch. In the command center 3 levels above, every screen showed the same image. A human janitor crouching in a dark tunnel, one hand slowly reaching into his cleaning cart, while the most dangerous creature on the station stood less than 10 feet away. Commander Dex's 4 hands gripped the edge of the control panel. His scaled face had gone pale, which for a villain meant a sickly gray color. "Get me audio on that feed now." Lieutenant Korv, his second in command, stabbed at the controls. The speakers crackled to life, and they heard Hyan's voice, soft and steady. "That's it. Nobody's going to hurt you. You're okay." "He's insane," Korv whispered. "That human has lost his mind." Dr. Nira pushed forward through the crowd of officers. The Quolian scientist's compound eyes reflected the screen light in 100 different angles. "Look at the creature's posture." The head tilt. "It's confused. It's about to attack," Korv said. "We should send in the kill team." "No," Dex's voice was firm. "We wait. If the human dies, we shoot. Until then, we observe." On the screen, Hyan's hand emerged from the cart holding something. A small brown strip. "What is that?" Nira asked. One of the human officers in the back spoke up. It was Dan, a botanist who worked in the station's agriculture section. "Looks like dried meat. Beef jerky, maybe? Humans eat it as a snack." Hyan held the strip out toward the Ravkor. His hand was steady, palm up, offering. "You hungry?" "I bet you are. Here, it's okay." "Take it." The Ravkor's eyes fixed on the food. Its nostrils flared. The creature took 1 step forward, then another. Its claws clicked against the metal floor. Everyone in the command center held their breath. The Ravkor lowered its massive head toward Hyan's hand. Its jaws opened, revealing rows of teeth designed to tear through armor. Hyan didn't move. Didn't flinch. The creature's tongue, dark and rough, swept the meat from his palm. "Impossible," Korv breathed. The Ravkor chewed slowly. Its eyes never left Hyan's face. Then it made a sound, a low rumble from deep in its chest. Dr. Nira's antennae shot straight up. "It's purring. By the 7 stars, that creature is purring." Hyan smiled. Just a small smile, but genuine. "Good, right? You want more?" He reached back into his cart and pulled out another strip. "I've got plenty." "You're a big girl, aren't you?" "Yeah, you need a lot of food." The Ravkor took the second piece more gently. Then it sat down like a dog waiting for another treat. "This isn't happening," Dex said, but he was watching the screen like everyone else. Unable to look away, Hyan stood up slowly. The Ravkar's eyes tracked his movement, but it didn't attack. It just sat there, waiting. Hyan pulled out more food from his cart, a protein bar this time, still in the wrapper. This one's pretty good too, here. The Ravkor took it, wrapper and all, and swallowed it whole. Okay, Hyan said, looking around the tunnel. So we should probably get you back to your habitat, right? Can't have you running around scaring everyone. He paused. You understand any of this? Probably not. But that's okay. He looked at his cleaning cart. There was an electrical cable wrapped around one of the handles, the kind maintenance used for temporary repairs. Hyan unwound it slowly. The Ravkor watched but didn't move. I'm going to try something, Hyan said, more to himself than to the creature. Please don't eat me. In the command center, Dan grabbed the edge of a console. What's he doing? I think... Vex's voice trailed off. I think he's making a leash. A what? A leash. Earth animals use them. To control pets, that's not a pet. Korv shouted. That's a Class 5 predator. On the screen, Hyan approached the Ravkor with the cable. Easy now. I'm just going to put this around your neck. It's not going to hurt. Just like a collar, okay? He looped the cable over the creature's head. The Ravkor could have killed him in that moment. One swipe of those claws, one bite of those jaws. Instead, it sat there and let him do it. Hyan tied the cable securely and held the other end. Good girl. You're such a good girl. He's going to walk it, Dr. Nira said, and there was awe in her voice. Like a domestic animal? He's going to walk a Ravkor through my station. My station, Vex corrected, but his voice was faint. Hyan tugged gently on the cable. Come on. Let's go home. The Ravkor stood up and followed him. They started walking down the tunnel, the human in his dirty janitor uniform leading the galaxy's most feared predator on a makeshift leash. Hyan kept talking the whole time. You know, you remind me of this dog I used to know. German Shepherd. Big guy, really strong, but he was scared of thunderstorms. Would hide under the bed and shake. Everyone thought he was mean because he'd snap at strangers, but really he was just frightened. I bet you're the same way. All this noise, all these strange smells. Must be terrifying. The Ravkor made another rumbling sound. Hyan reached a junction and checked his communicator. Okay, so containment is up 2 levels and across the main corridor. That's going to take us through some populated areas. People are going to freak out. Try not to eat anyone, okay? He started up the stairs. The Ravkor followed, its claws scraping against each step. They passed a window looking into one of the residential sections. Aliens of 3 different species were pressed against the glass, staring in horror. Hyan waved at them cheerfully. Don't worry. She's friendly. Aquilian fainted. By the time they reached level 5, a security team was waiting. 6 officers in full combat armor, weapons raised. The lead officer's voice came through a speaker. Human, get away from the creature. Hyan held up one hand. It's okay. She's calm. Please don't shoot, you'll just scare her. Scare it? It's a Ravkor. Yeah, and she's been through a lot tonight. Look, I'm taking her back to containment. Just ... Lower your weapons, okay? You're making her nervous. The Ravkor had moved closer to Hyan, pressing against his side. Its eyes were fixed on the security team, and a low growl rumbled in its throat. In the command center, Vex made a decision. He opened a channel to the security team. Lower your weapons. Let them pass. Sir? That's an order, Lieutenant. Lower your weapons. The security team obeyed, and Hyan walked past them with the Ravkor at his side, still talking in that same calm voice. That's it. You're doing great. Almost there now. Dayan, watching from the command center, shook her head slowly. That's so Hyan. Last month he befriended the waste disposal drones. Those are machines, Korv said. He didn't know that. Brought them oil and talked to them every day. Vex watched the screen as Hyan and the Ravkor disappeared around a corner. What kind of species domesticates predators? He asked. Dr. Nira pulled up a file on her terminal. Earth's biological history. According to these records, humans have domesticated 43 different species, including wolves, which are apex predators on their world. Wolves? They call them dogs now. Lex stared at the screen for a long moment. Then he said quietly, "Humans are either the bravest species in the galaxy or the most foolish." On the screen, Hyan had stopped at a storage closet. He opened it and pulled out a maintenance blanket. Then he draped it over the Ravker's shoulders like a cape. "You're cold, aren't you? This station is probably way too cold for you. There you go. Better?" The Ravker pressed its head against Hyan's shoulder. "Definitely the bravest," Dr. Nira whispered. The walk through Station Kepler 7 became the strangest parade anyone had ever seen. Hyan moved through 17 different corridors, past windows where hundreds of aliens watched from behind reinforced glass. The Ravkor followed on its makeshift leash, the maintenance blanket still draped across its back. Bitna watched from the engineering section, her hand pressed against the window. She'd worked with Hyan before on some electrical repairs. Good guy, always polite, always humming old songs while he worked. Seeing him now, walking a creature that could tear through a hull, she didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Only Hyan," she muttered. Only he would try to pet the murder monster. Beside her, another engineer was recording everything on his communicator. "This is going to be all over the station net by morning." "If there is a morning," Bitna said, but she didn't really believe that anymore. The way the Ravkor followed Hyan, the way it stayed close to his side, it didn't look like a monster. It looked like a very large, very dangerous dog that had found its person. In the command center. Commander Thex was trying to manage the chaos. Every department head was calling in, demanding explanations. Ambassador Krill, who'd authorized bringing the Ravkar to the station in the first place, was having what Thex could only describe as a complete breakdown. "This is a disaster." Krill's voice screeched through the speakers. The ambassador was a Pelthian, which meant he looked like a cross between a bird and a businessman with feathers and a very expensive suit. "If that creature harms the human, the liability claims will bankrupt us. The Earth government will have my head." "Why didn't your security team stop this?" "Because the human told us not to," Thex said flatly. "What?" "He said we would scare the creature. So I gave the order to stand down." "You gave the order to... Have you lost your mind?" Thex looked at the screen showing Hyan and the Ravkor. They'd stopped at a cafeteria, and Hyan was somehow convincing the terrified cook to pass him food through the service window. Perhaps. But look at the results. Dr. Nira was running scans of the Ravkor from the command center's medical sensors. The numbers on her screen kept dropping. "Commander, you need to see this. What am I looking at?" "The creature's stress hormones. They've dropped by 70% since the human made contact. Its heart rate is normal. Its cortisol levels are within baseline parameters." She looked up from her screen. "This creature is calm, genuinely calm. How is a human doing this?" Vex had no answer. He'd commanded security on 17 different stations across the galaxy. He'd seen combat. He'd faced down pirates, smugglers, and the occasional rogue AI, but he'd never seen anything like this. On the screen, Hyan was feeding the Ravkor what looked like a synthetic steak. The creature ate it carefully, almost delicately from his hand. "Good appetite," Hyan said cheerfully. "My dog back home was the same way. Could eat an entire bowl of food in about 30 seconds. He patted the Ravkor's head. The creature leaned into his touch. "You miss home, don't you? I bet your world isn't like this. Probably warmer. More open spaces. Being locked in a containment cell must have been awful." The Ravkor made a sound like a whine. "Yeah, I thought so. Don't worry. We'll make sure you're more comfortable. I promise." Lieutenant Korv, watching from beside Deck, shook his head. "He's making promises to it. As if it can understand?" "Maybe it can," Dr. Nira said. "Not the words, but the intention. Humans are very expressive. Tone, body language, facial expressions. Most species communicate on 1 or 2 levels. Humans use dozens simultaneously." "That's terrifying," Korv muttered. That's useful, Vex corrected. Doctor, pull up everything we have on human-animal domestication. Nira's fingers flew across her terminal. Files appeared on the main screen. Images of Earth animals, wolves, horses, cats, birds, even fish. Humans have been domesticating other species for over 30,000 years. They formed bonds with predators, prey animals, and everything in between. Why would a prey species befriend predators? Corv asked. Humans aren't prey, a voice said from the back. It was Dayan, the botanist. She'd moved forward to watch the screens better. That's the mistake everyone makes. Humans are pursuit predators. They used to hunt by chasing prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. They're built for endurance, not speed. So they're predators who befriend other predators, Vex said. Not just befriend, partner with. Humans and wolves hunted together. Humans and horses traveled together. Humans formed social bonds with other species because it made them more effective. It's not weakness. It's strategy. On the screen, Hyene had reached another checkpoint. More security officers were waiting, but this time they kept their weapons lowered. One of them, a young Vrillin, spoke through the intercom. Mr. Hyene, do you need assistance? I'm good, thanks. Just taking her home. Could someone alert containment that we're coming? I want to make sure her habitat is ready. And maybe turn off those electric barriers? I think they scared her earlier. The barriers are safety protocols, yeah, but they're also terrifying. Have you ever been shocked by an electric fence? Not fun. Let's try making her feel safe instead of trapped. The officer looked confused but nodded. I'll pass that along. Hyene gave a thumbs up and continued walking. They climbed another level. The Ravkor was breathing harder now, not from fear but from exertion. Hyene noticed and slowed down. Heavy gravity world, right? This station gravity is probably too light for you. No wonder you're tired. Here, let's take a break. He sat down on a bench built into the corridor wall. The Ravkor lay down beside him, its massive head resting near his feet. Hyene scratched behind its ears, or where he assumed the ears were. The creature's rumbling purr vibrated through the floor. You know what you need? A better habitat. Space to move around. Maybe some heat lamps. Oh, and enrichment activities. My friend's dog had a puzzle feeder. Kept him busy for hours. In the command center, Ambassador Krill had gone silent. He was watching the screen with an expression of disbelief. Is he? Is the human suggesting improvements to a Class 5 containment cell? He is, Dex said. And I'm going to approve everyone. You can't be serious. Ambassador, that creature destroyed 3 security checkpoints, caused millions in damages, and was heading toward the civilian sectors when the humans stopped it, with meat snacks and a blanket. If he says it needs a better habitat, I'm building it a better habitat. After 5 minutes, Hyene stood up. Okay, girl. Let's finish this. Almost there. The final corridor to the containment sector was the longest. Hyene kept talking the entire way, his voice steady and calm. He told the Ravkor about Earth, about the farm where he grew up, about the dogs and cats he'd rescued at the shelter. The creature listened, or seemed to, its eyes fixed on him. They reached the containment sector doors. A full security team was waiting, along with Dr. Nira and Commander Vex himself. Vex had come down from the command center, needing to see this in person. Hyene stopped in front of them. The Ravkor sat beside him, calm and patient. Gentlemen, Hyene said, because he was nothing if not polite. We'd like to go in now. Could you open the habitat, please? And remember, no sudden movements. She's had a very stressful night. Vex stared at the human. This small, unimpressive creature in a janitor's uniform, who'd accomplished what an entire security force could not. Hyene, how did you do this? Hyene looked surprised by the question. Do what? Pacify a Class 5 predator without weapons. Oh, I didn't pacify anything. She was just scared and acting out. Happens all the time. He patted the Ravkor's head. She just needed someone to be kind to her. That's all any creature needs, really. Dr. Nira stepped forward, her compound eyes studying both human and Ravkor. Mr. Hyan, would you be willing to stay with the creature while it reacclimates to its habitat? Your presence seems to calm it significantly. Hyan shrugged. Sure, I don't have anything else planned tonight. My shift was almost over anyway. And that was how the most dangerous creature on Station Kepler 7 went back into containment, led by a janitor who hummed softly and promised it a better tomorrow. 3 hours later, Hyan was sitting inside the Ravcor's habitat with his back against the wall and the creature's head in his lap. The habitat was large, about the size of a small house, with artificial rocks and a pool of water in one corner. The maintenance blanket was spread across the Ravcor's back. It was sleeping, making small snoring sounds that shook Hyan's entire body outside the reinforced glass. Practically every scientist and security officer on the station had gathered to watch. The observation room was packed. Commander Thex stood in the front, his forearms crossed, trying to understand what he was seeing. Dr. Nira was running more scans. The creature's brain activity shows deep sleep patterns, REM cycles. It's dreaming. Dreaming of what? Lieutenant Korv asked. How should I know? I'm a xenobiologist, not a telepath. Nira adjusted her scanner, but its emotional state is positive. Contentment, security, maybe even happiness. All the fear markers are gone. A voice crackled through Hyan's communicator. Hyan, this is Thex. How are you doing in there? Hyan carefully reached for his communicator, trying not to wake the Ravkur. Fine, she fell asleep about 20 minutes ago. I think she was exhausted. Can you exit the habitat? I could, but I don't want to wake her. She needs the rest. I'll stay until morning if that's okay. You want to spend the night with a Class 5 predator? She's not a predator right now. She's just tired and scared. Besides, I've slept in kennels before when we had nervous rescues. This isn't that different. Thex looked at Korv. Korv looked back at Thex. Neither of them had any idea what a kennel was. Hyan, Thex said slowly, I need you to explain something to me. How did you know the creature wouldn't kill you? I didn't. Silence fell over the observation room. You didn't know? Not for sure, but I recognized the behavioral patterns. The way she moved, the way she was breathing, the look in her eyes. She wasn't hunting, she was panicking. Fight or flight response. I've seen it 100 times in animals back home. Dr. Nira leaned closer to the glass. What kind of animals? All kinds. Dogs, cats, horses, even a Volf hybrid once. Worked at a rescue shelter for 5 years before I came to the station. Animals that have been abused or traumatized, they all act the same way. Aggressive on the outside, terrified on the inside. And you approached it anyway, Thex said. Well, yeah. Running would have triggered a chase response. Fighting would have made things worse. So I made myself non-threatening and offered food. Basic animal psychology. A new voice joined the conversation. Mr. Hyan, this is Dr. Minho from Medical. I'm coming to the observation room. Don't go anywhere. Wasn't planning on it, Hyan said, patting the sleeping Ravkur's head. 5 minutes later, Dr. Minho arrived. He was human, older than Hyan by about 10 years, with gray streaks in his black hair. He took one look at the scene inside the habitat and laughed. Of course it's you, Hyan. Hey, Doc. Didn't you do this same thing last month with the cargo bay Strix? Hyan's voice came through the speaker, slightly embarrassed. That was different. The Strix was stuck in a ventilation shaft, and the month before that with the maintenance drones. They were making sad beeping noises. Minha turned to face the crowd of aliens staring at him. Let me guess. You're all confused about how a human janitor pacified your escaped predator? Thex nodded slowly. It's because you're thinking about it wrong. You see a predator? Hyan sees a scared animal? That's the difference. Minho pulled up his communicator and projected a file onto the wall screen. Let me tell you about Earth. The image showed a Volf, gray and fierce, with ice blue eyes. 30,000 years ago, humans and wolves were both apex predators competing for the same resources. By all logic, they should have killed each other until one species was extinct. Instead, they became partners. Humans fed the wolves. Wolves protected the humans. Over time, those wolves became dogs. Today, there are over 300 breeds of dogs on Earth, and almost all of them are descended from wolves. He changed the image to show horses. 15,000 years ago, humans domesticated horses. These animals weigh over 1,000 pounds and can kick hard enough to break bones. But humans taught them to carry people, pull carts, work in fields. More images appeared. Cats, cattle, chickens, pigs, sheep, goats, even elephants and camels. Humans have domesticated 43 different species. Some were predators, some were prey, some were dangerous. Some were docile. It didn't matter. Humans formed bonds with all of them. Dr. Nira's antennae were quivering with excitement. But how? What biological advantage allows this? Several factors. First, humans are social persistence predators. They evolved to work in groups and to track prey over long distances. This required high levels of cooperation and communication. Second, humans are extremely adaptable. They can survive in almost any environment. Third, and this is the important part, humans are exceptional at reading emotional states across species barriers. Explain, Dex demanded. Minho pointed at Hyan through the glass. Watch his face. Even now, while talking to us, he's monitoring the Ravkar. See how he glanced at its breathing. How he adjusted his position when it shifted in its sleep. He's constantly reading its body language, its sounds, its movements. Most species can only do this with their own kind. Humans can do it with anything. That's impossible. It's evolution. Humans needed to understand the animals they hunted, so they learned to predict behavior. Then they needed to understand the animals they domesticated, so they learned to communicate across species. It's not telepathy. It's observation, empathy, and thousands of years of practice, Lieutenant Korv spoke up. But the Ravkar isn't from Earth. Human evolution didn't account for alien predators. Doesn't matter. The core principles are the same. All animal behavior follows patterns. Fear, aggression, curiosity, contentment. Hyan recognized those patterns because he's seen them before in other creatures. The details change, but the fundamentals don't. Lex was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "We've been using electric barriers, fear tactics, and isolation on that creature since it arrived. Standard protocols for dangerous organisms. And it tried to escape," Minho said. "Because you treated it like a prisoner, it acted like one. Hyan treated it like a frightened animal, and it responded accordingly." "This is insane," Korv muttered. "This is humanity," Minho corrected. "We don't see enemies everywhere. We see potential friends. It's why we've formed alliances with half the species in the galaxy. It's why we're here, on this station, working with all of you." Dr. Nero was typing rapidly on her terminal. "I need to publish a paper on this. The implications for xenobiology are enormous. If humans can form emotional bonds with species they've never encountered before." "They can," Minho said. "Trust me. I've seen Hyan befriend things I didn't even know could experience friendship." Ambassador Krill, who had been silent until now, finally spoke. "What are you suggesting? That we hire humans to manage all our dangerous creatures?" "I'm suggesting you stop treating them as dangerous creatures and start treating them as living beings with psychological needs," Minho replied. "But yes, having humans consult on animal care would probably help." Inside the habitat, Heian yawned. The Ravkar stirred, opened one eye, saw Hyan was still there, and went back to sleep. Vex made a decision. "Dr. Nira, begin drafting new protocols for non-sapient species containment. I want environmental enrichment programs, larger habitats, and behavioral assessments. Mr. Hyan will consult on all of them." "Sir, Hyan is a janitor. Hyan is whatever I need him to be. Right now, I need him to be an animal behavioral specialist." Dex looked at Minho. "Will he accept?" Minho laughed. "Knowing Hyan, he'll agree to help but refuse any promotion or pay raise. He likes being a janitor." "Why?" "Because it's honest work, and it makes him happy. That's how humans are." "We're very strange." Dex watched the human in the Ravkar through the glass. The most dangerous creature on the station, sleeping peacefully with its head in a janitor's lap. The whole situation was absurd. Impossible, and yet undeniably real. "Humans," he said quietly, "are the most dangerous species in the galaxy." "Because of our weapons?" Minho asked. "No, because you don't see enemies, you see friends you haven't made yet. That's far more dangerous than any weapon. In the habitat, Hyan started humming softly, an old Earth song about friendship. The Ravker's rumbling purr harmonized with the melody. And outside, an entire station of aliens began to understand what it meant to be human. 3 days after what everyone now called the incident, Station Kepler 7 looked very different. Well, most of it looked the same. But Section 9, the xenobiology research area, had undergone major changes. The Ravker's habitat was 3 times larger than before. The electric barriers were gone, replaced by reinforced glass and simple doors. Heat lamps hung from the ceiling, warming the space to match the temperature of the creature's home world. There were climbing structures, a larger pool, and even a puzzle feeder that Dr. Nira had designed based on Hyan's suggestions. And in the center of the habitat, the Ravker was playing fetch.Hyan through a reinforced ball across the space. The creature bounded after it, grabbed it in its jaws, and brought it back. Its tail, which nobody had even noticed before, was wagging. Again? Okay, here you go. Hyan threw the ball. The Ravker chased it, moving with a joy that made the watching scientists take notes frantically. Commander Thex stood in the observation room with his arms crossed. Next to him, Dr. Nero was recording everything. Day 3 of new containment protocols. Subject shows 0 signs of stress or aggression. Subject responds to verbal commands in standard and appears to understand basic requests. Subject has bonded strongly with human Hyan. She has a name now, Hyan's voice came through the speaker. He'd insisted on keeping his communicator on whenever he was in the habitat. It's Dabu? Dabu? Vex asked. It means tofu. Because she's soft inside. Hyan caught the ball as Dabu brought it back. Who's a good girl? You are? Yes, you are? The Ravkor made a sound that could only be described as happy. Lieutenant Korv, standing behind Vex, shook his head. I still can't believe this is real. 3 days ago, that creature destroyed 3 checkpoints. Now it's playing fetch? Because 3 days ago it was terrified, Dr. Nira said without looking up from her notes. Terror makes creatures dangerous. Safety makes them docile. It's not complicated. It shouldn't be this simple. It is for humans, Minho said, joining them in the observation room. They've been doing this for thousands of years. It's instinctive for them. Vex pulled up a report on his terminal. This incident has caused ripples across the entire station network. I've received 47 requests from other stations asking for consultation on their containment facilities. The council wants a full report. And somehow, a video of Hyan walking Dabu has gotten 12 million views on the galactic net. 12 million? Korv looked impressed despite himself. Most of the comments are variations of humans are insane and why is the small soft creature friends with the murder lizard? Vex scrolled through the feed. There's also a betting pool on whether Hyan will try to befriend other Class 5 organisms. He will, Minho said confidently. How do you know? Because I've already gotten 3 requests from other research teams asking if Hyan could evaluate their specimens. Inside the habitat, Hyan sat down on one of the artificial rocks. Dabu immediately lay down next to him, her massive head in his lap. He scratched behind her ears and her rumbling purr vibrated through the observation glass. A door opened behind them. A young human woman entered the observation room, holding a small child's hand. The woman was Jiwon, a xenanthropologist who'd arrived on the station that morning specifically to study Hyan's interaction with Dabu. The child was Salman, 7 years old, visiting the station with her parents. Dr. Jiwon, Dex greeted her. Thank you for coming. Commander, I've reviewed the footage. What Mr. Hyan accomplished is remarkable. Jiwon's eyes were fixed on the habitat. I'd like to interview him about his methodology. He doesn't have a methodology, Korv said. He just talks to it. That is a methodology. Communication, body language assessment, reward-based conditioning, trust building. These are all established animal training techniques on Earth. Jiwon pulled out a datapad. I've been researching Earth's domestication history. Did you know humans have domesticated species from every major taxonomic class? Mammals, birds, reptiles, fish, even insects. Insects? Dr. Near's antennae perked up. Bees, silkworms, humans formed working relationships with them thousands of years ago. The little girl, Salmon, tugged on her mother's sleeve. Mama, can I see the big lizard? Not now, sweetie. It's dangerous. Actually, Hyun's voice came through the speaker. He'd been listening. She can come in if she wants. Dabu is very gentle. Every alien in the room immediately protested. Absolutely not. Are you insane? That's a child. You can't. It's fine, Hyun said calmly. Dabu is great with kids. She's got the same energy as a therapy dog. Trust me? Trust you? Dex's voice was strained. You want me to allow a human child into a habitat with a Class 5 predator? Yep. Hyun stood up and Dabu rose with him. Come on, Commander. You've seen how she acts. She's not going to hurt anyone. Yuan looked at her daughter. Then at Dabu, then at Hyun. I'll go in with her. Mom. I don't think, but Jiwan was already moving toward the habitat entrance. Dex grabbed her arm with one of his 4 hands. You understand the risk? I'm a xenanthropologist, Commander. My entire career is studying human behavior in alien contexts. If Hyun says it's safe, I believe him. Humans have instincts for this that we're only beginning to understand. She smiled. Besides, Soman needs to learn that not everything scary is dangerous. Dex released her. If anything happens, then you can tell the Earth government I made a terrible decision. But nothing will happen. The habitat door opened. Jiwan and Soman stepped inside. Every security officer in the observation room moved closer to the glass. Hands hovered over emergency switches. Dubu looked up at the new arrivals. Her ears swiveled forward. She took a step toward them. Soman, who'd been told her entire life to be cautious around strange creatures, did what human children do when they see something interesting. She walked right up to the galaxy's most dangerous predator and patted its nose. Pretty lizard, she said. Dabu's rumbling purr got louder. She lowered her head so Soman could reach better. Hyun grinned. See? Told you. In the observation room, Lieutenant Korv made a sound like a deflating balloon. I'm going to need psychological counseling after this week. Over the next hour, Soman played in the habitat while her mother took notes. Dabu was gentle, almost protective, never using her full strength. When Soman threw the ball, Dabu chased it. When Soman wanted to touch her claws, Dabu held very still. When Soman got tired and sat down, Dabu lay beside her like a giant guard dog. G1 was recording everything. This is unprecedented. The creature is displaying pack-bonding behavior with a juvenile from a completely different species. The implications for social evolution theory are enormous. Or, Minho said, it's just what happens when you treat living things with kindness. That's too simple. Humans prefer simple. By the time Jiwan and Soman left the habitat, Dex had made several decisions. First, he approved Dr. Nira's new protocols for all non-sapient creatures on the station. Second, he authorized the formation of an animal welfare consultation program with human specialists. Third, he sent a request to Earth asking for experts in animal behavior to join the station staff. And fourth, he officially changed Hyun's job title. Not that Hyun wanted it changed. When Dex called him into his office later that day, Hyun was still in his janitor uniform, smelling faintly of cleaning solution and Ravkar. I want to offer you a position, Dex said. Special Consultant for Non-Sapient Species Welfare. Increased pay, better quarters, your own research budget? Hyun scratched the back of his head. Thanks, Commander, but I like being a janitor. It's honest work. Makes me feel useful. You just befriended the most dangerous creature on this station. You are useful. Sure, but I can help with the animals and still clean floors. I don't need a fancy title for that. Dex studied the human. Small, unimpressive by most standards, wearing a uniform that had seen better days. And yet this creature had accomplished what an entire security force could not. You're very strange, Hyun. I get that a lot. I'm going to list you as a consultant anyway. And I'm tripling your salary. You don't have to. I'm also authorizing you full access to any containment area on the station. If another situation like Dabu occurs, I want you to handle it. Dex leaned back in his chair. The galaxy thinks humans are dangerous because of your military capabilities. Your weapons, your tactics, your persistence. But I think humans are dangerous for a different reason. What's that? You don't conquer enemies. You make friends. That's far more dangerous than any weapon. Lex pulled up a file. I received a message this morning from a research station in the Andromeda sector. They have a creature that's been attacking their staff. Class 4 organism. They want to know if you could evaluate it. Hein's eyes lit up. Really? What kind of creature? Crystalline-based life form. Extremely aggressive. 3 people have been injured. Sounds like it's scared. Crystalline life forms are usually very sensitive to vibration and sound. The station is probably too loud for it. Hyen stood up. I could go next month after my vacation. You're going on vacation? Yeah, back to Earth to visit my family. My mom makes the best kimchi stew. But I'll be back in 3 weeks. Vex watched him leave, still in his janitor uniform, already planning how to help another frightened creature halfway across the galaxy. Through the window, he could see Dabu in her habitat, watching the door where Hyen had disappeared, waiting for him to return.